Okay, it's time again for your favorite and mine, viewer questions. So, let's get rolling. We got, I don't know how to say this, nils and over. How does this align with making awakening your top 1, 2, and 3 priority in life? This is a reference to a video called Where Are All the Cool Things? If you haven't seen the video Where Are All the Cool Things, you should watch it. I've had a lot of people comment that's the funniest video we've ever put up, and many people say it's their favorite video. So I did put it in the playlist called Greatest Hits. But anyway, to answer the question, how does this align with making awakening your 1, 2, and 3 priority in life? The question being asked by this person probably comes from, I don't know where it comes from, but what I want to say about it is it doesn't actually matter how that works in someone else's life. Like, it doesn't really matter what someone else's priorities are, because that doesn't help you, right? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you to know this person's priorities or how they came about that, or what. It just doesn't help. It's really about being authentic with yourself and what are your priorities, right? That's all that matters. And I'm a pragmatist when it comes to awakening. I'm here to point as directly as I can. And this is one of those areas that gets confusing for people, because it's like, well, how do they prioritize, or how do they, it's like, but learning how someone else prioritizes doesn't help you prioritize in any way at all, right? So I understand that the question may not fully be coming from there, and I get that you're curious about it, but when it comes to your own process, your own awakening, your own deepening of realization, it's best to just ask yourself, like, what really is my priority? Or what are my priorities? Right? If you're paying attention to this channel, you're watching these videos, you're a member and so forth, you certainly have this as a priority. But what are the other priorities in life? What is getting your attention? What is getting your energy? What is getting your time, right? Look at other competing agendas in life and just be aware. You don't have to try to restructure the whole thing, but just be aware. Like, what is it that's competing for my energy, my time, my attention? And sometimes looking into that can be helpful, because you may find things that are not even really genuine drives or pursuits. They're more like distractions. But you have to see that clearly to know that, right? So if you don't even see the motivation, you're not going to see the distraction. And so that's why I say just really look into your motivations periodically. What is it that's getting your effort, attention, energy in life? What's important to you? Yeah. And what I find is, over time, as you see that these other avenues of pursuit often are not as satisfying as you thought they would be and hoped they would be, then we start realigning more and more to clarifying realization, whatever that means, whether it means having an initial shift, or whether it means clarifying the deeper aspects of realization, or doing more nuanced shadow work, whatever it is. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I think. Thank you for the question. The next one comes from Odieing. For me, I do hold views of how I want reality to be, because I think this might or could influence the result of a situation, and fear of being different from wanted result. Yeah. This really comes down to like 10th fetter, doesn't it? It's so easy to believe that these thoughts that appear are in control, and that they're your thoughts and you're in control, even that you're choosing the thoughts. All of this stuff seems so true until we have some significant insight. With significant insight, meaning specifically non-dual insight, the insight of non-agency and so forth, it becomes obvious that's not how this works. Really obvious. But to philosophically try to debate that or explain that to somebody or whatever who doesn't have that in their experience, it's not really helpful. So, like I kind of alluded to in the first question, it's like, this is really about seeing more clearly. Just look more clearly at what's happening. Look more closely at what's actually happening in your experience, not trying to make it this way or that way, and you will see through the illusions. You will see through the illusion of agency. You will see through the illusion that thoughts are creating reality, when indeed thoughts are a reflection of reality, right? Just like I said in my book, thoughts are reflective in nature. It's the reflective nature of consciousness. They're like a mirror. So how can the image in the mirror change that which is being reflected in the mirror? Right? If you walk up to the mirror, in the analogy, right? The physical you is on this side of the mirror, the image on the other side of the mirror. How is that image going to suddenly come alive and change you? That doesn't make sense, right? It's kind of what the mind is trying to do. or it seems like it's trying to do that when we have this kind of relationship with it that where we believe it so much. And even the one believing it is part of it. So none of that's happening. But I know it seems like it is. Thank you for your question or comment. This one's from Charla. Can you elaborate on the comment at 1240 that fear is also curiosity, fear is also excitement? They're all the same emotion. Oh, for sure. That's in a video called A New Approach to Procrastination. I think I'm going to wait on this. I'd rather just answer this later. I'll get around to it later. It's a joke, right? Procrastination. Let's see. So the comment that fear is also curiosity, excitement. Yes, it is indeed. You could almost say it's on a spectrum of intensity. What we call fear or maybe even terror is maybe the really heightened version of it. But you can get pretty heightened in excitement too, right? Curiosity tends to be a little more mellow, but they're all really the same energy. They're the same emotion. The context is what we use to inflect that emotion, meaning we put a story around it that says, oh, I'm scared, or oh, I'm excited, but they're really the same feeling. Sensation-wise, physiologically, when we talk about the archetype of the magician, the gateway emotion to that archetypal energy is fear and or curiosity and or excitement, which are all the same thing, right? Those are the gateway emotions. So fear is not bad. It's not negative. It's not positive. Curiosity is not negative or positive. Excitement, not negative or positive. These are just different words we use for the same energy, but the context we put around them, especially when we have a lot of beliefs that certain emotions shouldn't be there or that we can't handle them, really changes the inflection of the experience. Good question. All right, this one's from Matt. This is the funniest spiritual video I have ever seen. It's from the same video called Where Are All the Good Things? If you haven't seen Where Are All the Good Things, check it out. It's a blast. Other funny spiritual videos I've seen, Jeff Foster has one that's called something like, you can just look up Jeff Foster laughter and you'll find it. It's really fun. It's a pretty funny video. Okay. This one is from Ooh La La. It started funny, again, referring to the same video here. This is Where Are All the Good Things? It started funny, but it doesn't end that way for me. I don't feel I've had an awakening. I've been at this for years with Angelo and years before that, and I still feel very solidly like a self. I know I'm not my thoughts, but I do think I am the one the thoughts are about. Angelo will just keep saying, those are just thoughts. Just thoughts. Just? Yeah. I love it. One of my favorite things is when people go, I know what you're going to say to this, and then they say whatever they say in their question. And even as they're still saying the question, the funny thing is I have no idea what I'm going to say because I don't know what I'm going to say until I say it. But in this case, I wasn't going to say just thoughts. What I am inclined to say is, if you've tried this for years, you've been working on this for years, you've been watching my videos for years, what I'm inclined to say is, what haven't you done? What aren't you doing? What are you avoiding? Yeah. What is it you don't want to do? Come to a retreat, work one-on-one with a non-dual facilitator who will point very directly for you, do some shadow work. Like there are a lot of ways you can really accelerate this process. I mean that. It works. I've seen it work over and over and over and over. So I would just say, if you're really serious about awakening, well, first of all, check your priorities. What are your priorities? Are you full on about this? Is this what you really, really want? Did you already have a shift? I don't know. I can't tell by the comment, but, and then, look at your priorities and see, is there a competing agenda here? Is there something else you're putting your energy into? Or do you really want truth? What do you think it's going to give you? Like, looking at all those things is important. But if you're full on about this and this is really what you want and it is your priority, and nothing's happened yet, I would say expose yourself to something that's really going to challenge your ego. Yeah. So one-on-one mentorship, something like that. Again, shadow work is very powerful for breaking blockages that keep us, with these competing agendas and so forth. There's often shadow aspects that keep us, leaking our attention out to some other secondary gain or some fear or some sticking point in life. Yeah. So that's kind of what I usually would recommend at this stage. Thank you for your comment. This is from Pamela. Totally unexpected magic starts to happen when you stop trying to make this and yourself anything other than exactly what they are. It's definitely not boring. And she's referring to this video, Where Are All the Good Things? Yeah, the video is awesome. It was a very cool conversation. And it's one of those moments where it's like, I'm talking to someone who's obviously very, very awake, but there's still just some thoughts kind of hanging around, some expectations here and there. But this is a person who, as I was interacting with him, felt very equanimous, very clear, very awake. And it was a fun conversation. This is from Cherie Miller. This is exactly what we were talking about today in Double Barrel Zoom meeting. So many of us are at this point. Everything just seems so ordinary and yet so fresh and new. But the mind is still in its habit of grasping because it's been doing it your whole life. Eventually that grasping calms down. Thank goodness. I didn't believe it, but it finally did. Yeah, it does. The grasping calms. And, talk in the same video this is referring to. So talking to the guy, I didn't even really feel like he was grasping. I think he was just kind of, it was almost like he was testing me a little bit, but, or seeing what I would say to that stuff. But he didn't even sound like he believed it, actually. He didn't feel like he really believed it. I think he was very clear that those are ultimately thoughts, and they were, right? Something more should be here than there is, or whatever. These are just thoughts at this point, especially, right? Anyway, thank you. Let's see. This one is from Sword Fern. 1120, Ram Dass quoted some teacher or friend saying, "Enlightenment is life's last great disappointment." I don't know what that means. That saying doesn't really resonate with me. Sometimes these like pithy, simple quotes are like, okay. Well, I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know what state he was in when he said it. I don't know who he was talking to. I don't know. Wasn't a disappointment for me, but I felt a lot of disappointment along the way, but that's just an emotion. I felt a lot of things. I felt a lot of emotions, all kinds of emotions. Shame, guilt, self-hatred, joy, ecstasy, release, grief, anger, like over and over and over, right? Resentment, shame, guilt, all the things. Yeah. Impatience, frustration, disappointment, all of it. But those are emotions, yeah? I don't know. I can't equate enlightenment to one emotion or one impression or something like that. It's way, way too vast, too all-pervasive. So, yeah. Not that I don't like Ram Dass. I like Ram Dass. He's great. Okay, this is from Kaya. Either Kaya or Kaya. Got it. Finally. The future is like a gnome or a unicorn. Why didn't he just freaking say this like 300 videos ago? Well, Kaya, if you have read my book, you would know that I refer to thoughts as or the mind as this kind of random thought generator, right? The future, the past, beliefs about yourself, beliefs about reality, philosophical truths, beliefs about solidity and form, all of it. Just a bunch of thoughts, right? No better or worse than a thought of a unicorn, no better or worse than a thought that says I'm the Queen of England. They're just a bunch of fucking thoughts. Pretty simple. Cool. Okay. This is from Milagros en Casa. It's from Astrid. I did the Inner Circle workshop before the UK retreat. Now, I would have said I had done a lot of reactivity, fetter work, shadow work, but the workshop was and has been transformational. It opened the portal, which continued during the UK retreat. Anger, I didn't feel angry. I was the anger. The same with sadness, pain, compassion. Every time the shadow engulfed me, the expansion was felt with the same intensity. Now I have a feeling like a fear stemming from the need for safety. It is blurry, just a feeling like loud noises, sudden braking of a car. Then yesterday, the thought that I could have inherited from my grandmother, my mother, World War II, and my grandmother. They were both German. I wasn't born until 1963. Anyway, the idea came of the bombs. So is it possible that I inherited it? What also comes to me is that my mother saying that as a small child, I was really frightened by loud noises. I feel safety, fear, not logical, which I feel maybe I need to look into before the subject-object can integrate. Subject-object integrate. I think you mean subject-object dissolves. Yeah. I have the zero distance, which happens naturally. That's okay. But when I practice, I have the feeling that I keep objects separated. It's a strange idea, belief that keeps me safe? ? Thank you all so much. Yeah. You're getting in there. You're doing the shadow work. You're getting to those deeper layers. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to figure it out. Like, is it my mom? Is it my grandma? Is it me? It's just what's there in the moment, really. If there is a motif that keeps spinning, that keeps playing out about a certain trauma or a certain situation or a moment, there could be some truth to that, and a somatic reprocessing of that can be helpful. But generally speaking, you don't need to know the ontological nature of, or the origin of whatever you're feeling. If it's coming up, you just feel through it and go deeper into it. See what's below it. See what's connected to it. See what the beliefs are. Like, just keep at it. Yeah. And you're in a good place with all that. I know. Thank you for your comment. This one's from Varshabrow. I haven't meditated enough to experience the infinite I am sense, and yet I feel like I'm going through this deep shadow work where life itself is showing me my attachments and habit patterns. I can see how thoughts are just thoughts, and something in me is making a big deal out of it, and it's so uncomfortable. I'm learning to take refuge in the physical sensations, which feels scary and revolutionary at the same time. That's awesome. You're in a good place. Yeah, just keep at it. Keep doing what you're doing. This is from Aksha. Hi, Angelo. It is shadow work after shadow work, and I don't feel an identity shift. What I imagine acceptance from the divine. When I imagine acceptance from the divine, a lot of shame is coming up, and I do think there's progress. But I come back to the sense of loneliness again and again, and it is tiring me out. Yeah. The sense of loneliness. Yeah. I mean, that is your entry point, right? When you start doing inquiry, when you start digging in and a certain emotion comes, then, well, and you're not even doing inquiry necessarily, you're more putting your attention in the senses and to the body sense. And an emotion keeps coming up. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean something's wrong. It's not getting in the way. Now, if you say it's tiring you out, it's something you could look at, like as far as a thought, a belief. What does this feel like when I let go of the belief that says it's tiring me out? Right? It's tiring me out is probably the thought that brings you into the next thought, right? It's like dissociating a little bit. But if you go deeper into it, what does this feel like when it's not tiring me out? What does this feel like when I don't even call it loneliness? What is really here? Yeah. Like, just see those labels and just let them go and just go deeper into the sensation, into the emotion. Very helpful. Mm-hmm. Just go deeper. Keep at it. All right. This is a Klaus and Klaus. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and the books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. From Rainier Marie Rilke. Beautiful. I love that quote. This is from a video called Not All Questions Need Answers, Not All Answers Need Questions. Okay, one more. Here in the warm sun of the day, I stand, comforted, safe, yet in front lies a hole, bottomless, and echoing cold truth. Something whispers, fall. The sun becomes larger and says, stop. Where is the place that the sun speaks? Where am I? It's a beautiful poem. I assume you wrote that. I don't even know if it's a poem, but it's beautiful. This is from the video called This is What Shadow Work Ultimately Comes Down to. Okay. Thank you all. I appreciate your comments. I do read comments, almost all comments. I answer some when I can. I answer them live when I can, or in this way, a recording of it. I do give priority to channel members as I explain in the perks, but I do read everybody's comments, and I do answer other people's comments as well. So thank you.